Yes, hello everyone, Falchirash, Goody Cooling Media. Welcome back to the first weekend review show of Championship 2026. It is myself, Seamus Brady, joined by Aaron Prendergast. Aaron, we are back. How are we feeling?
Very interesting day, to be fair. Armagh Tyrone, definitely the standout game of the weekend and everything else. Maybe not the best game of Gaelic football in the world, but it definitely threw up quite a crazy ending. The game actually, we're usually when games go to extra time, they kind of die down and they slow down. But this game actually ramped up. I feel like if we had another like 10, 15, 20 minutes, the game would have been, it probably would have even finished, like it wouldn't have slowed down in any way. But yeah, I think there's been some very interesting scorelines across the championship. Like Wicklow beat Carlow very comfortably, which I didn't see coming, to be honest with you. And I've seen Laois got a big win versus Offaly. There's definitely been some surprise results and everything else across the board, across the weekend. And I think it's fair to say, like a lot of teams maybe who had bad leagues came into the championship being written off and did quite well at the weekend. So it goes to show maybe that, it's a marathon at the end of the day, not a sprint.
Absolutely. Well, we have plenty to jump into across all four codes. Of course, we had action in all four provinces of the Men's Gaelic Football Championships kicking off this weekend. We had all four finals of the National LGFA Leagues. We had all four finals of the National Camogie Leagues taking place. And on top of that, we had round one for the Christy Ring Cup, the Nickey Rackard Cup, and the Lory Cup. And we will go into all of it across this episode. So Aaron, strap up. Get ready to go because we are going to be in for the long run here. Matthew and Liam, unfortunately, cannot be with us for this episode, but Peter is leading the charge here in the live chat. Thanks for being with us again, Peter. He says, well, lads, some drama there in Armagh. I'd say Killian was on the edge of his seat. Armagh just about over the line. Not the best of games, but an interesting finish. And I can gladly say we have sent a very, very late message to Killian because obviously he's been on the show before. Very, very, very good guest to have on. And on top of that, this is the perfect time to get him on, Aaron, because, that's kind of the perfect place to start. But given that Killian will be jumping on with us to break that one down, we're actually not going to start there. We're going to go over to the Connacht Championship first because that is the best place to go. But before I do, personally, which result stood out to you this weekend?
Well, look, obviously Armagh Tyrone, but look, I think if we're looking outside of that, I think Laois being Offaly, to be fair, like to beat them by 9 points, and I know we don't have Liam with us, I think was very, very surprising. I seen. Obviously, the game wasn't on TV or anything like that, so we'll have to wait in regards to highlights. But I seen Colin Parkinson on Twitter saying that it was a 5 out of 10 Laois performance, and yet they still won by 9. I seen Mickey Hart's post-match interview where he was still quite upbeat and quite positive, actually, in terms of how the game went. I think that's a result that definitely stands out. Like when you think about it, I think Offaly coming in on the back of relegation and everything else, and I know they have a couple of injuries, but I don't think many people would have expected them to be beaten as comfortably as that. Evan O'Carroll obviously had a very good game. He was on song throughout the majority and dictated how the kind of game went. Paul Kingston obviously as well, kind of introducing an impressive performance. Evan O'Carroll scored 5 points, Kevin Swain with a goal, Ronan Coffey with 2, Kieran Burke with a goal as well. So Laois are coming in very well. And you know what? Like, they play Kildare next, and there could be an upset there. There could absolutely be a surprise there. Laois could definitely do something against Kildare.
Yeah, definitely, especially considering they've already taken out one of the teams that was relegated from Division 2. But we'll see. Peter here saying, Seamus, great interviews with the LGFA captains. Fair play, man. Thank you very much, Peter. Hopefully we'll get more content like that over the next while, and I'm delighted to announce that he is now in the studio with us. Killian, welcome back to the show. How are we feeling? That was pretty dramatic.
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Seamus and Aaron, for having me on again here. But I'm back from the match now, a good while. But if there's ever, I'm still lost for words. I still haven't really, I don't know what you say. I haven't really still, fully, I don't even know what you say. Haven't really fully took that game in, really, because it was such a crazy game. listen, I'll start off from an Armagh point of view. Obviously, I'm really happy about the win, but in terms of performance, it was by far one of our worst I've seen in a very long time. I mean, listen, I think Tyrone deserve credit where it's due because they've really brought the game to us there in that one, and I think they were very unfairly written off coming into the match, and I knew they'd make it competitive as did most Armagh fans. But and of course that exactly did happen there. So I thought Tyrone's effort, their intensity was really good. That's exactly what they needed coming into a rivalry like that. But I still thought like they weren't that great. I thought they were still a bang average side. So I think we definitely made it a bit hard work for ourselves too. But listen, ultimately, we got it done in extra time. Just thankful there wasn't any penalties today either. But yeah, listen, we're through to those quarterfinals. That is the main thing. It's always nice to defeat the rivals at home as well. It would not have been nice whatsoever that Tyrone beat us in the athletic rounds either. So listen, we move on. It wasn't a good performance whatsoever, but I feel like a game like that could battle harden us for later on down the line, getting over the finish line on a game like that. So listen, happy enough there and focusing in from Anna in 2 weeks.
Absolutely so. And then just being at the ground, I mean, like, what was the atmosphere like, especially when that goal went in from Ben McDonald? Was it one of those cases where you almost had to get to extra time because Tyrone had the momentum at that stage when the ball hit the net?
It all happened so fast. Like, when the goal went in, just the Armagh support was completely deflated. The Tyrone support was completely in full voice as well. And I think the Tyrone West support, I mean, the Tyrone supporters have been criticised this year for not travelling, but I thought today they were very vocal in the athletic rounds, and that really helped them a lot as well. So I think that, I mean, the Tyrone supporters really got behind them, especially with that goal. But for Armagh, they were just completely deflated. And then you could even tell, like, going back down the tunnel before extra time, like, there was much more, belief among the Tyrone supporters and the Armagh fans. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Armagh fans even felt we probably had the game lost, even though we were still in extra time. So yeah, it was a weird enough feeling, definitely. But I mean, listen, I kind of forget. I mean, I think Tyrone might have had an opportunity of winning the match a normal time. I can't remember honestly that much happened in extra time, but yeah, I mean, we were very disappointed. I mean, I was happy enough we still had a chance there. I was happy enough we didn't lose it after 70 minutes, honestly. But yeah, definitely the goal was big, very deflating, of course. I'm just remembering now we were ahead by a good few points, and we sort of, we let that lead falter a lot. The main thing was Tyrone needed the goal. All we had to do was prevent them from scoring a goal, but they went and scored a goal anyway. So that was very disappointing from our perspective. But yeah, there was a big turning point in the match, obviously. Got thrown in the extra time, and it definitely did deflate the Armagh sport a lot.
I think one of those things, because I've always been a big fan of Armagh players over the years, and I think you'd probably be first to back on this, is that you're one of those counties that never do things straightforward. Always definitely get the heart rate up. Aaron, do you have any questions for Killian on the game, obviously, from an Armagh perspective?
Yeah, I suppose like I mean, it was so like back and forth throughout the game, and like there was long like in the second half there was a huge period in that second half where Armagh didn't score. I think they scored like 2 points. I think up like in the first like 30 minutes. What do you think was the main reason for Armagh's like flat performance? Because as you said, like throughout the league, the majority of the performances were actually quite good. Like it's kind of weird. You lost games in the league and you probably played better than you did today, as an example. So like what do you put it down to?
Yeah, well, it's strange enough because I thought first 15-20 minutes we were in cruise control of the match, and I thought like early on in that stage, like we finally started the game well, and I thought we were surely going to cruise the a semi-comfortable victory almost. But I think there was a load of factors definitely went down to that. I think Tyrone just they had a lot more grit than us for the large chunks of that match too. They sort of gained control of midfield as well. I thought Congo Patrick was excellent in midfield, and he was an absolute engine there for Tyrone too. But I mean, Tyrone squandered many chances themselves too, especially in that first half against the wind. There wasn't too much of a wind, but there must have been out in the pitch because I think both teams played a lot better with the wind than against the wind, and both teams were struggling to get scores against the wind, like Armagh in that second half. But I mean, still, there's only scored like 2 or 3, 4 points there in that second half. It's not on, like it really isn't on. And it's such a big Ulster game against Tyrone too. You have to be scoring. you have to be taking your chances. Tyrone didn't take their chances in the first half. And so we just needed to take a bit more. I mean, that seems to be the thing. Our shooting accuracy isn't too bad, but there's just a few shots there here and there, which if even half them go over, then games are complete different stories. Like, so again, I mean, I think in terms of our second half performance, it was just completely flat. Tyrone had all the momentum, and then behind them too, and we just could never get a foothold in the match either. So yeah, I mean, I thought we started the game well off. First 15 minutes, thought we were getting to every single ball before Tyrone too. But then after that, really, the pendulum sort of did swing a bit, because then it was Tyrone getting to every ball first before an Armagh player. And simply I think Tyrone just had that bit more intensity than us in the second half too. And they did defend very well, Tyrone, as well, I have to say. I mean, maybe put that down a bit to us being a bit slow in attack, but I thought like they really were closing us down very well there in that second half too. It forced maybe a couple of pot shots as well. But yeah, from an Armagh point of view, you cannot be scoring 3 or 4 points in one half of football. I think at one stage in the match we had scored maybe 2 points in 45 minutes, which, I mean, in Ulster Championship again, it's unforgiving. Like, thankfully we survived this time around. However, if that happens against maybe Donegal later on in the line, you're going to get absolutely crucified for it.
I do agree. I think though at the end, like, Kieran McGeeney, as he has done multiple times, he's kind of summed it up really, really well. He was quoted after the game as saying, "I take playing shit and winning every time." And like, the reality is, Aaron, we were in the group chat, Killian, I know you've seen our predictions. We were thinking, Jesus Christ, if Armagh lose this game to Tyrone, and we've called, myself, Aaron, Matthew, we've all said Armagh to win the Ulster Championship, it's going to be curtains for us. The comments are going to be ruthless. So we were definitely nervous. And then especially when the red card came for McMullen in extra time, I thought maybe with the extra man here, Tyrone will be able to get the job done. What was the grain of rice that tipped it in your scale?
I don't know. Actually, I do think I know what the grain of rice which tipped the scale might have been. And I think the red card actually brought more work rate out of us. It brought better football out of us, because I think during the match 15v15 we were coasting through a lot of it too. But when we went the man down to 14 men, I think it definitely it raised the work rate from us. It made us realize, right, we're a man down here, we're going to have to work extra, and I think that definitely was probably the reason. I think our intensity and work rate really did up the ante a lot there in extra time too. You could really tell it from the offset there, getting a point and then a goal within the first minute there, or 2 minutes, and then Tyrone constantly were coming back and had a few pair misses too. But we were hanging in there really. We definitely were a lot more compared to during the game as well. So I mean, yeah, around midfield and through the hands too, we were definitely looking a lot more physical. Definitely, as it is, intensity did raise as well. So I actually think the red card, which I mean, I look back at the 2 yellow card incidents there for McMullen, and I think McMullen has really been harshly handled there when you look at some of the other things which were let go, such as the Jordy O'Byrne's body slam by, I think it was Ben McDonald there in the second half too. So yeah, listen, I think the red card obviously McMullen was very unfair, and it was sad to see, because McMullen is always a brilliant footballer. But yeah, I think that definitely did bring out the best in us, and thankfully got us over the finish line there in extra time.
Kind of reminded me of when Dylan McConnelly got sent off, just from a Dublin perspective. Do you remember Donegal 2011, Aaron, where when Connolly got sent off, it was like red rag to a bull to the rest of the team. Sometimes it is that kind of back against the wall moment. But for me, from an Armagh perspective, yeah, you didn't play that well, but walking out of it, there's nothing really but positives. Like, you're into it, so kind of who gives a shit? Like, you're into the next round, and the reality is we know what Armagh are capable of. We know the level that they're capable of playing. I know that we're talking about if they play like that against Donegal will do a number on them, but they're not going to play like that against Donegal. I think Tyrone were also in that situation where Tyrone were never going to roll over for Armagh. Like, if there's one county that can wake Tyrone up, it's Armagh or Derry. One of them two will wake Tyrone up. So this game was never going to be a walkover. And the reality is Armagh will know that the performance needs to be better against Donegal, and they're going to raise the standard again. And I just do still have that sneaky feeling that Donegal have won 2 Ulsters in a row. And I just wouldn't be surprised. For me, like, I don't think they're going to win it. I still, like, I think Matthew put it on the stats, and they are kind of weird that Jack hasn't done back-to-back with Kerry. and Jimmy's never done 3 in a row with Donegal. And this Donegal team of Michael Murphy and McHugh and McBrearty, I know he's gone now, but they've never done 3 in a row either. They fell to Cavan in the 2020 Ulster final in a game that everybody tipped them to win. So I'm a little bit superstitious when it comes to things like that. Until I see them broken, then I don't really believe that they're going to be. Gaelic Guy here saying, what an intense game, but absolutely buzzing to beat the old enemy with 14 on the pitch in extra time. Tyrone will be kicking themselves, especially with going for goal instead of the safe option and scoring a point. Donegal won't play how Tyrone played, however. But again, as McGeaney said, you'd rather get through playing badly than getting a moral victory, playing superb and coming out the wrong side of the scoreboard. I think Tyrone will be kicking themselves. They left that game behind them in extra time. The reality is they had a man extra on the field and didn't get the job done. And you look at the chances that they missed, Niall Morgan kicking the 45 away. They'll just realise it was there for us. But we don't know. And also as well, guys, we'll be keeping up with what's going on in the New York versus Roscommon game, obviously over in the Big Apple. But Aaron, your final thoughts on this game before we move on. Armagh beating Tyrone at the death, a late winner from Conor Turbot in extra time. They had 14 men on the field. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think just to clarify in Gaelic there as well, it was the 4th goal for Roscommon, I think. Not New York. I just had to double check that because I was like, what on earth is going on there? But yeah, no, look, it was a mad game, really. And I think for Armagh, like I do agree with both your points as well. Like I think for them to get over the line, I think it will stand to them. I think they'll learn a lot more about this game than they would have done if they had just won by 15 points or 10, 15 points or something like that. I think they'll build quite a lot. And I think the resilience they were able to show on the bottle that they were able to show in extra time, like going down to 14 men in any game is difficult, but to go, 14 men against your big rivals, all the pressures on you. Like I agreed with you, Killian, as well. Like I thought when it went to full time and it was going into extra time, I thought, yeah, Tyrone are going to win this because they had a bit between their teeth. They'd gotten the goal. They were bringing players off the bench like McElhone and everything else who were kind of making a big impact. And you were thinking, yeah, I think Armagh are going to struggle here, but they came flying out of traps at the start of extra time, obviously scoring 1-1 very quickly. And I think one player that we haven't mentioned that deserves huge praise as well is Oisin O'Neill. Like I think he kept you in it really, like in normal time. Like he was the one that kind of changed the game when it was kind of getting away from you in normal time originally. So yeah, like a crazy game. But yeah, like although Armagh played poorly, I wouldn't be very quick to write them off in terms of Ulster. I think you've saw this numerous occasions before with teams where they can be a little bit flat and everything else. Let's not forget as well that Armagh have to give a huge amount towards the end of the league to obviously stay up and everything else. So I kind of was nearly a bit frustrated watching Armagh playing quite poorly, and when we kind of needed them to play like that towards the end of the league. But yeah, look, they got over the line in the end.
Yeah, they certainly didn't. There's no question about it. I think there's far more positives to take from this because if you get into next round, quite frankly, it does not matter how you got there. It just matters that you got there. Donegal will not let Armagh make the mistakes that they made in this game. They'll not let them play to the level that they played in this game, but I firmly believe Armagh won't play to the level of this game. Killian, we have one more question for you from Peter Griffin here. Very good question. He says, Killian, what key aspect of Armagh's play would you change for potentially meeting Jimmy again?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, if there's one thing I would maybe change, I mean, I think defensively we're all right. I know Tyrone maybe had a couple easy scores there, but defensively I think we're not too bad. Going forward, though, like Tyrone were very good defensively, but anytime we could have created a chance there, we were sort of slowing it down, and we were letting Tyrone reset defensively, and we were letting them chase us out back around the arc again. So if there's one thing I'd change, I'd like to see us counter-attack or attack in general with a lot more pace and directness as well. Like Wednesday night I was actually at the Armagh Under-20s match against Tyrone, and one thing that really caught my eye was how much swift direct football they're playing. I mean, we were kicking the ball 30 yards into the full forward line, having players running off the shoulder and getting plenty of scores through that. And I was sort of thinking coming into this game, I would like to see a bit of that. Now, of course, we didn't see any of that. But I think definitely, I mean, if you look at the players they got, like Conley's pure pace, McConnell's pure pace, Oisin O'Neill is able to win high balls there in the full forward line. Turbo, pure pace too. And then even likes of Tomas McCormick, Darragh McMullen, Greg McCabe, all very good at coming in off the shoulder too as support players there for the attacks as well. So to answer the question there, definitely more quick and direct attacks in my opinion. Because we have the forwards in there which can inflict damage in any team in the country. However, at the minute, maybe they're just not being used to the best of their abilities. And if we just make that change there, if we don't slow down the attacks, and if we maybe need to kick the ball a bit as well, I'm not too well. I'm a decent enough fan of going through the hands. I think it does suit our play style very well. However, I'd like to see us maybe vary that between half of the time maybe through the hands quickly, other half of the time maybe hoof it into Oisin O'Neill and full forward and see what happens. So I think maybe you could even say a bit more risks taken there and going forward to not always playing it too safe and could definitely benefit us as well, because we do thrive often with risks and chaos as well, especially in tight games like that. So yeah, listen, I think to really unlock the pure potential, the full potential, should I say, of our forward line, more quick and direct attacks definitely is what we need.
Absolutely so. And then final thing I suppose we will touch on, because we haven't touched on it, Mikey here asking, is Rian O'Neill confirmed to be out for the year? I mean, when we're talking about getting the forward line to the potential that it's capable of, Rian O'Neill certainly is part of getting it to the best of its ability. Obviously, he wasn't in this game, and I was thinking that Rory Grugan was brought in, but definitely not given as much time as he usually was under McGeeney when he was at his peak. If Armagh are going to hit the heights, in my opinion, that they're capable of, and it's a shame that you can't put that asterisk in, because, Aaron, we did say in the preview show of the championship that Armagh would win the Ulster Championship if they have the likes of Rian O'Neill and Grugan and everything like that. But obviously, when you're doing the quick picks, you can't put the caveat in every time. Is it a case that you need these lads back, or is the system just... it is what it is? Is it like a Dublin type thing at the peak under Jim Gavin where you can just plug and place whoever because the system is just bigger than it?
Yeah, well, the thing with Rian O'Neill, you don't really know these as Rian O'Neill. Every day there's a new story about him, so you don't know really what's true or what's not true. But he was playing for Crossmaglen on Friday night against the Armagh Harps. Harps won that one by 4 points, by the way. He was around midfield. He was sort of playing around maybe 70% intensity. He wasn't really going full throttle and not really going full in the challenges or anything. To be fair, it was a horrible night for football, but he was there playing, and he looked in decent shape as well, to be fair to him, but he didn't really look to be going full out of it either. So from what I've heard, he could be around the county team still. I'm not too sure if they're training yet, but I do agree with you. For me, he's the final piece to the puzzle really for us in terms of going forward. If we want to win maybe an Ulster, maybe even a Sam Maguire again this year, he's that sort of superstar type of player who I think we're missing. I mean, Kerry's got Clifford, Donegal, has got Murphy, Galway has got Walsh when he's that too. Rian O'Neill's that type of player for us, and he's very good with 2 pointers as well. And so I think without him, we definitely are missing him quite a lot. But even without him too, I still think we're a good enough side in there. I mean, you've got Grugan back in there. He came on just briefly there today. You've got McElroy. I thought Joe McElroy is actually our best sub today because he was just a real engine. We looked so much more comfortable in possession as well, even with Joe McElroy on too. So he's back there. Barry McCamer's still in the bench too. Andy Murnan as well. We're getting all these players back, and so even without Rian O'Neill, I still think we're in a good position. With players coming back too, he's just the one final piece to a puzzle in my opinion. But apart from that, we seem to be near enough a full strength squad near now. So I think still without Rian we can cope. However, with Rian for sure, definitely that will give us that extra boost and that extra bit of quality as well, which could propel us on to great things for this year. But listen, we'll wait and see. I'm not too sure if we'll see much of Rian this year for Armagh. Obviously, like every other Armagh fan, I'm hoping we do see a bit of Rian. The sooner the better, really, but no rush either, of course, either. So yeah, listen, we'll see what happens. However, even without Rian O'Neill, I still think we are a pretty good squad and still capable of taking a game to any team in the country on our day.
Absolutely. So we are going to leave that game there, and we're going to move on to what you could argue, in my opinion, is the result of the weekend. We're going to move across west. Armagh, dodgy Wi-Fi, but Armagh getting that win over Tyrone in the Ulster preliminary round. We're going to move across now to the west of Ireland. Okay, Wi-Fi's acting the Muppet, but we're back. We're moving across to the west here, where Sligo are knocked out of the Connacht Championship. Leitrim beating Sligo by 3-15 to a goal and 20 points in Markovich Park. It is Leitrim's first win over Sligo in 15 years. Barry McNulty was absolutely outstanding for Leitrim with a goal and 6 as they beat their local rivals. Sensational stuff. Aaron, I'll go to you first for this one. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. Already one of the shocks of the championship, and it, fair to say, probably is the result of the weekend as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think anybody would have saw this coming, given the fact that Tyrone finished, 7th in Division 4 in the end, or Leitrim, I should say, finished 7th in Division 4 in the end. But look, one thing we always said about Leitrim is that they do have good footballers. Like, they do have good players in Barry McNulty and Tom Proer, Paul Honeyman. Like, they've had a couple of underage players come through in recent years. They have been very inconsistent. Like, they've had some good results in the league, but also some very poor results. They were in that kind of cluster of teams that could have nearly got promoted and everything else. But they did end the league actually quite poorly with two heavy defeats. But yeah, like, it probably is a reflection. Like, a lot of teams that went very strong and had to go strong towards the end of the league have all started the championship maybe a little bit slow. Like, even Armagh a little bit, like, you know, kind of a little bit poor in their performance. Look, obviously we haven't seen this game yet, so we'll have to see the highlights. Like, Sligo still scored 120, but you would have expected them to have won this game, to be fair. For Sligo, like, it kind of is a shame to see. Like, they had that kind of underage team a couple of years ago and everything else. You're kind of hoping, right, Sligo are going to kick on and everything else, but it probably hasn't really happened. And you know, it is kind of one of them things that you can have a great underage team, but you probably nearly need a few of them, or you need a few things in place for it to kind of click and for it to happen. But yeah, it's been quite a surprising result, but fair play to Leitrim. Huge win, and without question, it's going to be a great occasion for them to play Galway in the Connacht semis.
Absolutely. So I think when you look at someone like McNulty, he's constantly putting up these numbers, and on top of that, when we saw him play for the Connacht team in those trial games, he looked as good as any footballer on the field. And from a Leitrim perspective, Killian, he looks as good a footballer as I've seen that county produce since Emlyn Mulligan.
Yeah, I mean, I only did see the other results there before coming on to this. So, but listen, I did see this one definitely did stand out to me for sure. And I was really surprised. Like, I mean, I thought Sligo would win this one by a good few, but fair play to Leitrim, fair play to them. And Barry McNulty, pure class. It was 160 said he scored again, like, here in this one. Like, again, that's just brilliant stuff. And I seen him during the league. Like, I think it was like 5-2 pointers he scored against London too during the league as well. Like, brilliant footballer, and you would wonder, like, how much county teams in the country would he start for, even up to maybe Division 1 sides as well. He is just a top quality footballer, and obviously now fair play to him, first win over Sligo in 15 years. Obviously Sligo this year has been a bit lackluster by them, and once again this is a very disappointing result for them, especially being on home turf. But from a Leitrim perspective, it's absolutely massive. Like, and now of course semi-final against Galway. Galway probably will win that one still, but you never do know. I'd love to see Leitrim make a All-Ireland final, and then even be in, or make a Connacht final, should I say, sorry, but they would be in the All-Ireland, so it wouldn't be fully impossible that anyway. But yeah, listen, fantastic for Leitrim football, and excited to see how to get on now against Galway.
I was saying, Aaron, there's our Connacht predictions in the mud. we didn't predict Sligo to get to the Connacht final now. We did predict a Mayo versus Galway Connacht final. So perhaps Galway can still keep that in place and Mayo can beat Roscommon in there. But we'll come to those games in a bit. In this game as well, Aaron, the thing that's kind of disappointing when we're talking about Sligo over the years is everything seems to be pointing on the up for them. Like Coolera, Strandhill winning the Connacht Championship, the success they had with their under-20 team with the likes of Canis Mulligan and Luke Marin and these lads breaking through, the success that they've had at colleges level, the success that they've had at schools level, everything is pointing in the right direction. Yet consistently they flattered to deceive in Division 3. We've always picked them as, over the last 2 years anyway, we've picked them as outside dark horses to get promoted, and they've never even come close. What's stalling? Because you look at this game, they led by 6 points to 2 early on. Everybody thought, okay, Sligo are going to kick on and win this game. And then Leitrim ended up leading at halftime by 2 goals and 7 points at halftime, and then drove on to win from there.
Yeah, it's a hard one to know, to be honest. Like, obviously, they have had a change in management, and maybe we underestimated a little bit, or underestimated Tony McEntee in terms of the work that he did in Sligo, in terms of how well organised they were, some of the results that they were able to get as well, and obviously getting to the Tailteann Cup semi-final and everything else that went with it. Obviously, they've hired Eamon O'Hara and Desi Sloan. Like, it is their first season, to be fair, so you do kind of have to give them that benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it's kind of hard to know, to be honest. Like, I do think sometimes, like, just because you are having success at underage level, you know, like, it doesn't, and even at schools level and everything else, it doesn't necessarily, it's not a guarantee for the senior team. Like, you have to be careful bringing those players through. There has to be a mix of senior players as well. I think the examples have to be set from the senior players as well for the younger players to follow, which is why I think the likes of Tyrone and Dublin and Kerry and these teams, even Armagh to a certain extent, when they brought through younger players, you've been able to see them kind of reach the standards that they need to get to. I'm not necessarily saying that's what's happening at Sligo, but that's just maybe a bit of speculation. Because we have saw great underage teams. Kildare, I remember, won an under-20 All-Ireland in, what was it, 26?
Let's dive into that. Is it, since they've moved to under-20, Kildare won the All-Ireland, then what?
Yeah.
The Tailteann Cup, okay. But apart from that,
they
haven't got near to a Leinster Championship. Offaly won the All-Ireland under-20 a few years ago. They're going backwards now. And most of those lads are at the age where they should be in the team. We also have had Sligo having great success in under-20. They haven't really progressed at all since that happened. I know that it's something that we're kind of discussing, but we switched it to under-20 from under-21 a few years ago. Even Aaron, like, as Dublin fans, who's really come through from the under-20s to our senior team that's really shook it up and made a difference? Like, apart from Lee Gannon's a great example of someone who's burst through. Killian McGuinness is another one, but not many others. Like, it's like, I think the jump from under-21 to senior was a little bit easier. I feel like under-20 to senior is a big jump. And I feel like, especially under-17, when it used to be like minor, under-18, and then into under-21, and then into senior, I feel like it's a massive jump in terms of physicality, in terms of fitness, in terms of the time that you have on the ball, everything like that. Unless you're a freak, unless you're someone like Clifford or Kobe McDonald that can just play against anybody in the world. Like, are we seeing, like, Killian, just when we're looking at the evidence there, like, are we seeing the same signs? Like, because I know, but even then, Meath for years had been beating Dublin, and it took a long time to see what we're seeing now.
Yeah, obviously it is a big jump from under-20 to senior, and all the examples you've said there, Seamus, really does prove that. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to take time. Some of these for some of these under-20 teams to fully transition to senior, and some of them don't even do it. I mean, as you mentioned, they're awfully going backwards now. Even possibly question marks could be arised around Tyrone as well. They've won 3 of the last 4 under-20 All-Irelands, if I'm not mistaken. And still, like, they're currently mid-table in Division 2. Now, I know
they're the biggest example.
Yeah, there still is quite a few players to come in there. Like, Owen McElhone, this is only his first or second full year as a senior. First full year without under-20 commitments either. As well as that, Noah Grimes, players like that still to come into the side too. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I think it just does prove that just because you win during underage, just because you kind of just got loads of underage success, doesn't necessarily mean your county is going to become successful at senior level because of that as well. Now, the Armagh under-20 is looking very good, so fingers crossed. This doesn't apply to us. However, it is interesting, and it will be interesting to see how the next few under-20 sides, successful under-20 sides, do transition into county. I think maybe teams like Louth, then on the other hand, are handling those transitions well, and they really are on the rise too. And I think this year, especially Louth, they've seen quite a few of their good young players from last year really make an impact in the senior team this year as well. So yeah, listen, it's often hit and miss. Like, you might get a few good players there coming from those squads, but the majority of those players in those underage squads will likely and maybe not even play senior county. They'll just be a club player for the rest of their career. So it is interesting, definitely. It'll be interesting to see over the next few years with the likes of Tyrone and Lory and even Armagh as well too. But for Sligo, like, yeah, it's disappointing. Like, however, again, it is a bit of a, I don't know what you call it, a bit of a transition phase, a rebuild if you must as well. And I'm sure, listen, I still think Sligo's a good squad there. Obviously, I think the departure of Tony McEntee has maybe damaged them a lot too. But I think they will eventually come good. Sligo, and I mean, will we see them go to new heights which they haven't really reached before? I'm not too sure, but it definitely could stabilise a lot more and improve over the next few years. But listen, we'll wait and see, lads. My phone's by the day here, so I'm going to have to hop off early. But thank you so much for inviting me on, and I'm happy to come on whenever necessary again.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you on again next time, Killian. Thank you for jumping on at such late notice. Have a good one.
No worries. Good luck with the rest of the show.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, man.
Okay. So do go give Killian a follow across all his socials if you do not follow him already, at Killian the Football Genius, across his YouTube channel and all social platforms. We are going to move on for the comments here. We have plenty coming in here about the game. So I'm saying teams like Dublin, Galway, and even Cork are unreal at every age group, even hurling groups. Ryan saying Derek Craig just been sent off for Roscommon. We're going to keep you up to date with what's going on in that game at Gaelic Park. Ryan also saying, hey lads, great weekend of action. The Porter said, why did they change it from under 21 to under 20s? Whose idea was it? Peter answering saying the CCCC changed it. When under 18 went to under 17, they brought it below a year to the 20s. I think there's like more evidence that players are able to move better, because I do believe in terms of just physicality alone, the jump between minor to under 20 is huge, and then the jump between minor to senior is absolutely uncalculable. I don't know if that's a word, but incalculable I think is closer, but I'm not winning any awards for my English there. But yeah, and the reality is this is a gigantic win for Leitrim, because to be honest, the last couple of years have been rough. You look at last year when they had to, give a walkover in that league game. They had a couple of bad beatings in Division 3. Then they had a bit of a flat campaign in Division 4. But the reality is, as you were mentioning there, they do have some very tidy footballers like Barry McNulty, like Ryan O'Rourke. And getting a win like this against your local rivals, Sligo, in their backyard in Markovich Park, that could do wonders for them going forward. And against Galway, look, they have home advantage and it's a free hit. They've got nothing to lose in that game. Now, will Galway probably win it? You would imagine so. Galway will go into that game as heavy favourites. That just means that Leitrim have a free hit. Go in there, give it your best shot and see what happens, because we've seen over previous years. Let's not forget, in 2024, only 2 years ago, Sligo took Galway to the brink. And that was a Galway team that went on to get to the All-Ireland final that year. Leitrim have just gone away to Sligo and beat them. Now, I know that football maths doesn't always add up, but they shouldn't be afraid going into that game. Now, I know that Galway will be overwhelming favourites, but for Leitrim, their tails will be up. They'll be confident, and they've got nothing to lose. And this is a massive win for them. And we're going to move to the other game, which took place in the Connacht Championship, and that was Mayo beating London in Ruislip, 31 points to 115. Look, the reality is, Aaron, they were always supposed to win this game, but it can be a banana skin, especially these trips. We're going to keep you up to date with what's going on with the Roscommon New York game. But for Mayo, simply put, job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair to London, like, they gave a good account of themselves as well. They gave it a good go, and yeah, I think to finish with a tally of 115 in the end, I do think is quite impressive. I think from a London perspective, Jim Davis actually, as a matter of fact, scored some brilliant 2-pointers towards the end of the game. But look, you have to credit Mayo as well, because, as you said, like, it's very easy in these type of games to scrape over the line, to not play your best, to hold lads back and everything else. But again, like, something that stood out to me with Mayo this year and throughout the entirety of the season is just the depth of their panel and just how many options and how many players that they have. Like, you've Keane McHale, who has gone under the radar in terms of young players coming into the team, because obviously Dara Byrne and Colby McDonald have obviously rightly kind of taken all the plaudits. You've Ryan O'Donoghue doing his stuff as always, like scoring 11 points. Jack Carney as well has been outstanding. But even like when you're looking at it here, just even looking quickly on Score BO in terms of the players who came off the bench, the players they were able to bring off the bench were Tommy Conroy, Jeremy O'Connor, Jordan Flynn, Stephen Cohen. They had Conal Dawson on the bench as well. Like, remember how big of an impact he made last season. Killian O'Connor, remember him? He came off the bench as well. So, like, Mayo are absolutely stacked in terms of depth. They still have Matthew Rowan to come back into the team as well. So like they are very, very well stacked. I think it's just one of them for Andy Moran. Can he get the pieces of the jigsaw right? And can he get like a settled best starting 15? Kind of going into the latter part of the championship and build some consistency there. But in terms of scoring numbers, it's very, very impressive. I think they scored 7 2-pointers in this game as well, or something like that. So, like that's absolutely outrageous, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan saying GA Plus is joke, €15 to watch, something that just pauses every second. I'm assuming that you have the game on as well, Ryan. To be honest, I can understand maybe that this kind of coverage would be a lot more challenging, but I think personally I like GA Plus. I like the View show. I think that's been a breath of fresh air to the coverage around the games. It's been long overdue, but I understand as well in these times that pay-per-view feels a bit rough in these situations, but because obviously we're living through a bit of a mad time to be alive. But the game as well, Mayo getting the job done against London, fair play, because we know obviously that game can be a bit of a banana skin. But the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarterfinal, which is currently live between New York and London, just to give an update, it's half-time in the game. Roscommon lead by 5 goals and 11 points to a goal and 4. The goals have come from Dara Heenahan, 1 from Robert Heenahan, Enda Smith, Dylan Ruan, and of course Owen McCormack from the defence. And Dara Craig, who has landed 3 points, has also been shown a red card. So a bit of a crazy game going on there between New York and Roscommon. New York's goal, meanwhile, has come from their full forward, Jack McKenna. So we will bring you, again, updates if we are still live when that game finishes, which we might be because we still have a hell of a lot to get through. And we're going to move over now to the east. We're going to move to the Leinster Football Championship, and we have a lot to get through here in this game. So starting off with, of course, the clash of Offaly versus Laois in O'Connor Park. Now, this one, Offaly will be disappointed with this one. No other way to put it. I mean, to lose to your local rivals, but to lose to them by 9 points, it's not great. Laois getting the goals. Kevin Swain got 1. Evan O'Carroll with 5 points. And then from midfield, Kieran Burke got a goal. And Simon Fingleton then from the half-back line getting the goals. No question about it. Bragging rights in this rivalry secured for Laois for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think we all kind of said in the preview show that this was a game that we all kind of said, like, there's a real chance that Laois could maybe cause the upset and everything else, and maybe go and do it. But I don't think we expected it to be as convincing as it was. Like, to win by 9 in the end, very, very dominating. And yeah, keeping an eye on Score BO. I remember yesterday. I do think as well it was a little bit frustrating that none of the Leinster games have been shown anywhere. Like, only 2 football games were shown. I know obviously we had Camogie, ladies football, there were a lot of action on across the weekend, but a little bit frustrating maybe that this game wasn't on when there was nothing else really clashing with it other than the ladies football final. But yeah, look, a big result for Laois, to be fair. They've come strong towards the end of the league. And as I said, like, I absolutely do think they can give Kildare a bit of a run for their money. Like, Kildare are coming in a little bit vulnerable. They've been relegated to Division 3, a bit like Offaly, let's not forget. I know Kildare finished with 3 points. Like, I give Laois a fair opportunity in that game. They're coming in with a lot of confidence, and like, let's not forget they beat Kildare in the Tailteann Cup a couple of years ago. So I really do think that's it. Like, that is not a given that Kildare win that game, and I would not be surprised at all if Laois actually went and beat them.
Yeah, Peter here saying, of course, proud Kildare man, saying I'm always wary of Laois. He says, surely this is the end of Mickey Hart with Offaly. He seemed quite upbeat as well in his interview after the game, and I was kind of like, you don't really have much to be upbeat about there, to be honest. Like, you have to take in a bit of a pace, and you've had a bad year, relegated from Division 2 down to Division 3, exactly where they were when you took over. I think that sense of Offaly moving forward, I think, has stalled a bit on the football side. Like, there was a real sense when they won the under-20 All-Ireland. They had this good, solid minor setup as well. then winning the Division 3 title, there was a real sense that they're moving in the right direction. I think it's dried up quite a bit. And especially when they got Mickey Hart in, I think it was a shrewd appointment because of what he'd done with Louth. There was evidence there that maybe he could do the same thing with Offaly. Is it a case that like maybe they didn't go all in on him? Because he was made manager.
Yeah, but I think though, I think they were in an awkward position because Declan Kelly was the man who won that under-20 All-Ireland. I know they had a bad first season under Declan Kelly. Like that was the season they lost to, I think, London and Limerick and the Tailteann Cup and everything else. But yeah, like it's I think after what he done with the under-20s, I think it would have been quite disrespectful, I think, to just have gotten rid of him and brought in Mickey Hart. So I think they've obviously tried to do, they've brought Mickey Hart in, but they've obviously kept Declan Kelly there. Like joint managerial pairings are kind of a weird one. Like it's, when they work, they tend to work really well.
Who's the boss?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mickey Hart's the one doing the interviews, so,
Yeah. I just don't know. It's one of those things. But then again, you have to look at the Louth situation and go, how integral was Mickey Hart? Because he left and they got better. He left and they continued going up. Jared Brennan went in. He's left and they look grand. They look like they haven't taken a backward step. I think Louth implemented a system that regardless of who the manager was, the system remained in place. The cogs would keep on turning. And I don't think Offaly have necessarily implemented the same thing. But for me, every single Leinster county should be looking at Louth and going, what did they do? What did they do? Because yeah, of course, they've got the players like Tyg McDonald and everything that have come into the side from the under-20 setup. And, they've obviously put a lot of effort into that. But let's not forget, a lot of these players that were getting to back-to-back Leinster finals before they won it, obviously, last year, and that got promoted back-to-back up to Division 2. A lot of the players that helped them do that were the players that were down with them in Division 4. The system that they put in place helped them to get the maximum that they could out of the crop that they had. So it'll be very, very interesting. Ryan saying, see you on Thursday, lads. We'll see you then, Ryan. Peter saying Horst Devlin is the CEO of the Louth Academy. And
he's to be fair, he's been a big part of that because he was also there when Tyrone we're kind of coming up through the ranks, and he's been a big part of their under-20 success. So I don't know. I do think there is a correlation between Louth and Tyrone. I don't know, but I feel like they have looked somewhere along the lines of what have they done to be successful? What have they been able to do? And then they've gotten, they've been able to get Mickey Hart and Gavin Devlin in. And look, I think it is. Look, I think maybe the pieces were put in place maybe even before they came in. But, I think they've obviously added a huge, huge part of that.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on now to the other two games which took place in the first round of the Leinster Championship. I'm going to pair them together because, to be honest, they were both fairly one-sided contests. Wicklow burst Carlow's balloon. Obviously, Carlow promoted out of Division 4, but Wicklow decided who missed out on promotion, beat them by 2 goals and 15 points to 1-7 in Cullen Park. So definitely back down to earth with a bump there. Pádraig O'Toole and Oisin McGrainer with the goals. Owen Darcy also supplied 3 points, and Wicklow were full value for their win, whereas this one is pretty ugly on the eye if you're a Longford fan. Westmeath winning by 5 goals and 25 points to Longford's 1 goal and 16 points. The two teams promoted out of Division 4. Pretty brutal entry to the championship from them. Luke Loughlin was absolutely brilliant with 2 goals and 2 points. Brandon Kelly with 2-1. Shane Corcoran also found the back of the net for Westmeath's 5 goals.
Yeah, and again, it runs the team of teams ending the league strong, going into the championship a little bit flat, and maybe there might be some questions around league finals and everything else after what we've witnessed this weekend. But yeah, big result for Westmeath. First of all, like all 5 of their goals actually came in the first half, which was a little bit interesting. Brandon Kelly with 2 of the goals, Luke Loughlin with 2-2 as well. And look, fair play to Westmeath, because we did say it was a banana skin game, and we did say they could struggle, and these are the games that Westmeath have lost in the past. So they did get over the line there. And as for Wicklow beating Carlow, like, yeah, that was a surprise. I think you might have even said it, Seamus, maybe that you backed Wicklow maybe to win this game. Yeah, just given what Ushie McConville, there's no doubt he would have been absolutely fuming after missing out on promotion. And they came flying out of the traps in this game. Like, keeping an eye on Scorpio, it was very, very convincing. Just an interesting thing actually as well that's up on the GA website. I'm not too sure if you've seen this, Seamus, but so Wicklow are playing Dublin next in Ockram, but apparently it's going to be a double header with Louth and Wexford, and that is up on the GA website in Ockram. Yeah. And I
did you doing a double header?
Apparently, yeah. Like, surely it must be a mistake.
Sure, what, making sense? Surely not.
Well, not necessarily that. I think it's more just like Ockram filled out last year for Dublin and Wicklow. So I don't know. Like, it's a very small pitch. I don't know if you could have Louth and Wexford fans. I don't know if they could. I don't know if we'd be able to fit them all in. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. Maybe it's a neutral venue somewhere else. But yeah, but that's an interesting one. That'll be one to keep an eye on potentially.
I do think a double header definitely makes sense, just maybe in a bigger ground, like maybe somewhere 100%. Like St. Connett's Park or something. But Lee Fleming here saying Louth and Wexford are playing in Carlow. Obviously, we can't confirm, but it would make sense to me to do it as a double header, because I think then you can make these double headers into kind of carnival atmospheres, you know, with the fans crossing over. Also, it sets a bit of a rivalry, like, especially like, you know, the two counties that win, they kind of get a glimpse of each other on the day and stuff like that. We'll see you down the line type. It sets the stage for the next day out, I think. And Peter Conlitz would be ideal for a double header. Terrace would be hopping. It certainly would. And on top of that, then it's a nice town, Newbridge. You know, you can, like, the atmosphere in the town will be really, really good. It would clearly be championship season there. But anyway, that is the games that took place in the Leinster Championship. Big wins for both Westmeath and for Wicklow, respectively, and they're into the next rounds. But now we're going to move on to the Munster Senior Football Championship quarterfinals. And again, we're going to pair these together. Relatively straightforward wins here for Cork, who beat Limerick by 4-16 to 1-16 in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and for Tipperary, who beat Waterford by 15 points to 1-7 in Fraherfield. The reality is both of these games, I think, had clear favourites, starting with the Tipperary one, which was a little bit closer. Cian Smith and Sean O'Connor in the full forward line combined for 10 out of Tipperary's 15 points. And they move in to the Munster Senior Football Championship semi-final. Meanwhile, Cork against Limerick. When we were discussing it, we were saying if there was going to be an upset, maybe if Limerick could get back to their form last year when they made it to the Tailteann Cup final, and not their form this year where they were relegated from Division 3, that maybe they could bloody Cork's nose up a bit. But Cork hitting the back of the net 4 times from Sean McDonnell, from Dara Sheedy at full forward, Ian Maguire and Tommy Walsh hit the back of the net. The only thing that's to worry, obviously, Brian O'Driscoll sent off, but Chris O'Jones with 2 points, Paul Walsh with 2, Mark Cronin with 3. Good day for the Rebels.
Yeah, absolutely. And another interesting one, like 4 goals all in the first half as well. We've had a lot of first half goals this weekend. New York and Roscommon at the moment has 6 goals in the first half. Westmeath scored 5 in the first half versus Longford as well. And similar here with Cork scoring 4. So interesting there. But yeah, look, a 9-point defeat in the end. I don't think Limerick will be, like, I kind of thought it would be a little bit more, to be honest. So I think Limerick might be happy with how they fought back in the game. I think Cork were like out of sight really at half time, and then, you know, they probably took their eye off the ball, and Limerick were able to do a little bit of something, especially with Brian O'Driscoll being sent off. And then, yeah, big win for Tipperary. Obviously, they've had a couple of defeats against Waterford at under 20 and minor level recently in football. So at least the seniors were able to do the business there. And yeah, look, I think you would imagine Cork beat Tipperary in the semi-finals, but I do believe it's the first time they've played each other in the Munster Championship since the Munster final in 2020. So an interesting one.
Absolutely. So we are going to move on quickly then we've got 3 more codes to get through. So let's put the skates on. And we're going to start off with the hurling. Obviously, we had the Christy Ring, the Nickey Rackard, and the Lory Cups for 2026 all kicking off. Matthew here is dropping in with a quick comment just on the Cork game before we move on. He says, well, lads, big win, but as per the Southern Stars video, John Cleary was annoyed at that second half. Rare you see a manager raging after a comfortable win. Lots to work on before a probable Munster final. Absolutely so. And then your probable opponents in that game, Kerry as well. The standard will need to be at the highest level possible, no question about it. Moving then to the Christy Ring Cup, round 1 for 2026. It saw Derry beating Roscommon 122-110 in Celtic Park. Donegal beating Wicklow 117-16 in O'Donnell Park. And the only away win of round 1 is the team that we tipped heavily to be one of the front runners to win the Christy Ring Cup this year, Kerry, who beat me 317 to 12 points in trim. Aaron, what do you make of round 1 of the Christy Ring?
Yeah, interesting. I think the margin of victories, I think, is the most interesting thing. Like with Kerry being able to beat Meath as comfortably as they were. I think Kerry are an absolute shoe-in for the Christy Ring. To be honest, I think if they were in the Joe McDonagh, they'd be contenders in that as well, with how things have obviously gone in Division 2. And then I think Donegal beating Wicklow by that margin as well. I think I might have backed Donegal. I think maybe Matthew backed Wicklow. I can't remember, but yeah, like, you'll probably correct me if I'm wrong. But like a big victory there for Donegal to kind of win that quite convincingly. So a little bit surprising to see that margin of victory. And big result for Derry as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to move then to the Nickey Rackard Cup round 1. Recapping on this one, Mayo starting off, they beat Armagh by 225-27 at the Athletic Grounds. First win of the year for Mayo. Cormac Phillips led the way for 110, while Corey Scahill with 1-2 and Shane Boland also impressed. This one a bit of a surprise, you could argue. Obviously, Sligo, we hotly tipped them to be one of the front runners for the Nickey Rackard Cup. They start their campaign with defeat to Tyrone in the Tyrone Centre of Excellence. Shane Munro with 2 goals and Niall McGarrell with 1-2. And Turlock Mullen also hit the back of the net for the Red Hand County, and they get their campaign off to a winning start, while Louth beat Fermanagh by 116-15 points in Darver. It was Darren Gagan with 8 points and Kieran Murphy with 1-2 who ultimately made the difference, combining for 110 out of the wee counties total. And that is Nickey Rackard Cup round 1. Which one really stands out to you there?
Yeah, I think the Tyrone one really, like I think scoring 4 goals against Sligo, like I think we all kind of thought maybe Sligo, you know, up and coming side and everything else, had a very good league season. Tyrone have been hit and miss the last couple of years. So big result for Tyrone, gives them a great chance at the Nickey Rackard. Mayo, you'd imagine, are probably one of the big favourites in this competition. That was a huge win versus Armagh, but also a big win for Louth as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to move then to the opening round of the Lory Cup 2026. And starting off, we had Cavan beating Warwickshire in Breffni Park 314-15 points. Mark Moffat hit a hat-trick for the Breffni men in their win here in this one. Longford then put a bit of a beating on Lancashire 521-16. Their superb league form is continued. Ruben Murray hit 114. Ronan Courtney with 1-1. Niall Hawes with 1-1, while Johnny Casey and Dan Crossan also hit the back of the net for Longford as they got a very impressive win, while Leitrim beat Monaghan 213-29 in Park. Sean McDermott, a good win for Leitrim, bar the LGFA League Final, which we'll come to in a bit. But a very good win here for Leitrim in Park. Sean McDermott, Gavin O'Hagan with 1-2, and Michael O'Brien also hit the back of the net in this victory. Out of these, I suppose you have to look at Longford making a statement start there.
Yeah, like huge win. And you would probably put them as one of the favourites, maybe alongside Cavan, Leitrim, maybe kind of outsiders as well. I think all 3 games probably went the way it expected. But look, fair play to Warwickshire. Like they scored 15 points against Cavan. They made a good game of it from looking at the scoreline there. So fair play to them. Like they've given a good effort there. But like you would imagine Cavan and Longford are the two big hitters here, I think, in this competition.
Absolutely. So we're going to move code now. We have nothing left to discuss but league finals, 8 of them across LGFA and Camogie. And we're starting off with the LGFA Division 1 final, Cork versus Galway. Cork 2 goals and 8 points, Galway 9 points. Cork come from behind against Galway to win the Division 1 title. Cork land the Division 1 title. They were behind at halftime, 7-2. But an incredible second half where they outscored the Tribesmen by 2-6-2 points, ultimately proves the decisive part of the game. Katie Quirk leading the way with 1-3. It's the Rebels' first league title since 2019. When we're talking about counties that have heritage in Gaelic football, Cork arguably, I don't think, personally, I think the greatest side Gaelic football has seen with 11 titles in 12 years. And when you're looking at the foundations of that side, there's similarities. I hope that it doesn't go to that level of dominance again. All due respect to that team, but no question about it, and a sensational victory for Cork here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you were watching the game and everything else, you were thinking, you know, Galway have Cork's number here. Like, they were by far the better side for large parts in the first half. Cork were missing chances. And we were all kind of saying, like, throughout the season that, you know, Galway are on the up, like they're the favourites for the All-Ireland and everything else. And it was very evident for the majority of this game. But fair play to Cork, like right at the death goals from Katie Quirk, Anya O'Sullivan, kind of really turning the tide, and a massive result for Cork. And it's been an incredible league season as well. Like, I think a lot of us would have had them to be relegated and to struggle and everything else. So the fact they've come good as they have, I think is very, very impressive. And yeah, I think they're, you know, they might not be spoken about in terms of the All-Ireland picture, but I think they have to be now.
Absolutely. Like, you have to take the team that wins the league title seriously for the All-Ireland. And I think another thing that's massively impressive about this game is both of these sides were in the Division 2 final last season, and that shows just how tight the top of the game is right now. Like, the fact that Cork and Galway can rise through the ranks as fast as that. With Galway, there was a bit more evidence. You know, they'd been to the All-Ireland final in 2024. They had beaten Dublin along the way, who were the All-Ireland champions when Galway dethroned them, and they dethroned them in Parnell Park. So there was high evidence that Galway belonged at that level. But Cork had a couple of quiet years by their standards. They hadn't really looked like contenders, serious contenders for the All-Ireland per se. But with this win, they've really, really announced their return. And on top of that, the players that they were missing, Hannah Looney, Erica O'Shea, who are over in Australia, we've seen with other counties, especially Waterford and Meath, who've really benefited from getting their AFLW players to return. If Cork can get the likes of Erica O'Shea and Hannah Looney back in the fold for the championship, they absolutely could be a dark horse. There's no question about it. If they can keep a hold of Aoife Healy as well, because obviously she's got commitments down in Australia, but you wouldn't write them off. You wouldn't dare write them off without question. So yeah, that game absolutely huge. And on top of that, it was a real, again, case study of the wind in the stadium, because obviously Galway got off to that great start, 7 points to 2 up. And then in the second half, they really struggled into that wind. But on top of that, just one thing that's personal, they really need to just hand the cup over to the captain and just let them lift it, because there's I don't know, did you watch back the trophy lift footage? Just the handshake and then standing there. I'm like, hand it over, let them lift it. Get the photo afterwards, but don't get the photo before, because it really makes everybody wait, and it kind of takes the immediate moment of emotion out of it. Peter saying Galway started well, game of two halves there. Hello, my name is James. This Roscommon game is very tight. Unless a miracle has happened, I think maybe that might be a hint of sarcasm. It's not close. Roscommon are running away with it in that game in New York. We're going to move then through the other divisions, starting off with the Division 2 LGFA final. Donegal beating Cavan by 2 goals and 7 points to 8 points. The goals coming for Donegal from Mia Bennett and Katie Dowds, and especially Katie Dowds was going down the home stretch, and that one put the cap on it. Donegal probably slight underdogs in this game. Cavan had been unbeaten up until their final round defeat, and they absolutely look like the best side in the division. But Donegal just have a little bit more experience over the last few years when it comes to playing at the senior level. They are a senior county, and maybe that is what did it for them on the day.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think, as you said, you put it well. Like, they have the experience of getting over the line in these games and playing in these type of games in recent seasons. It's been a phenomenal season for Cavan, and look, they're improving hugely. And I do think they can take a lot of positives from this year. But yeah, like Katie Dowd scoring 1-3, Mia Bennett with a goal as well. So yeah, very, very impressive stuff from a Donegal perspective. And it will be interesting to see how they get on, obviously, for the rest of the season and going into Ulster.
Absolutely. So we're going to move then to Division 3's LGFA final, probably the most dramatic one out of the bunch. Loud beating Antrim by 1 goal and 10 to 1 goal and 9. and it was Laura Lynch who came off the bench for the wee county to land the winning score. Just as dramatic as you could possibly get. Avian Monaghan hit the back of the net in the first half for Antrim to give them the minimum lead going into halftime, but in the second half, Louth boomed back into the contest with a goal of their own from Grace Hoey. And basically, with one of the last kicks of the game, Laura Lynch lands the winner for Louth. These sides have met each other over and over and over again. Like, they know each other so well. They played against each other in the All-Ireland Junior final last year, but Louth now in back-to-back finals have beaten Antrim. Antrim will be gunning for them the next time they meet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think it's been a common trend, really. I think throughout the league finals, been a lot of late goals, late drama, and everything else. And this was obviously no different with the late point from Laura Lynch. So yeah, great for Louth. Like, they've been making great strides in recent seasons and great improvements and everything else. I know Antrim have as well, but yeah, huge result from a Louth perspective.
Absolutely so. And then the final LGFA League final took place today between Carlow and Leitrim. Carlow winning after extra time in an absolute arm wrestle of a contest, 3-13 to 4-9 in Birr. Clean and Ishay, no surprise, with a goal and 6 leading the way. Sarah Doyle got 5 points. Ava Kiernan with 1-1. Adele Hayden with a goal and Ruth Birmingham with a point. While for Leitrim, the goals came from Leah Fox, Miriam Devaney and Anna Devaney. And Laura O'Dowd also hit the back of the net. But imagine scoring 4 goals and not winning the league title. The two sides so evenly matched. But for Carlow, this is a huge win. Not only is it a league title, but they're beating a side that were All-Ireland Intermediate champions in 2024 and a senior county last year. Like, when you're talking about what kind of competition can you come up against in Division 4, it doesn't get much higher than that.
And it sounds like an absolute cracker, to be honest. Like, both teams going back and forth, goals, everything else. I think it's what you want in Gaelic football. And I think the new rules have really brought ladies football on as well. Like, I remember reading an article a couple of weeks ago in terms of the amount of goals that are going in across the board. And that's obviously no different in this game. I haven't seen any of it, so I'll have to catch the highlights. But yeah, it sounded like an absolute cracker. Like, and arguably probably game of the weekend, to be fair.
Absolutely so. And then that shot of Roisin Bailey lifting the cup as well, hoisted up on the shoulders by the teammates. I had to put it in the thumbnail because when I seen it, it's a class photo. And on top of that, I did, as Peter pointed out earlier, I did have the pleasure to attend the Captain's Day. That's the first press event that we've gone to as Cooleen Media. Obviously, we've gone with on Clare and Gaelic Statsman and everything, like, to plenty of different events. But as Cooleen Media, as a collective, that was the first one, and got to interview all 8 of the captains. All 8 of them were absolutely lovely to work with. So it was hard to want a team to win, but yeah, absolutely lovely people, and yeah, delighted for Carlow getting over the line on that one. Huge win. We're going to move now into our final code, which is Camogie, and obviously we had the Camogie finals this weekend in the league. Obviously had to wait because the final round of action was a few weeks ago, and Waterford, on top of that, definitely took the week off in the last round. They got a bit hammering from Tipperary, but no doubt they had one eye on this game, but they fell short. Galway 13 points, Waterford 11 points. Galway are the National Camogie League champions for 2026. The All-Ireland champions have consolidated their spot at the top of the game. All-Ireland champions and league champions now, despite the fact that over the whole course of the league, Waterford were the most eye-catching team, winning their first 5 games. Despite the fact that Waterford were the most eye-catching team, winning their first 4 games. And looking really good. The likes of Niamh Rockett and Beck Carton are absolutely flying it. But Galway just have this steeliness about them that champions do, and they are so tough to beat. And you've got the likes of Dervla Higgins, Carrie Dolan, that would walk into any team in any era. And right now, as All-Ireland champions and league champions, there's no question about it, Aaron, going into the championship, they're the best team in Camogie right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and they sort of just grinded it out, I think, to be honest. Like, I think that's probably the best way to say this game. Like, they started the game well, finished the game strong, but in between, like, I thought defensively they were very strong. Like, they didn't really allow the likes of Niamh Rockett, Beck Carton to kind of get too involved in the game. I think Roisin Black at fullback was exceptional, did a really strong job there. And yeah, like, maybe like the break of the ball, like Waterford missing a few kind of big chances, few goal chances here and there, kind of going astray. But yeah, as you said, like, Galway have been there and done it in terms of the All-Ireland series. I think this is actually the first time they won the league, which is a bit of a kind of a mad stat from what I've heard. So kind of a crazy one there. But fair play to Galway for getting over the line. For Waterford, disappointing. They are improving, they are progressing, and you feel like, you know, for them it's just, can they get over the line now? Can they kind of take that big step? But look, there's no question they'll be there come the summer, as will Galway, of course.
Yeah, it's just, can they break that glass ceiling? It seems to be really, really hard to take that next step. And we saw them obviously get to the All-Ireland final in 2023. They beat Tipperary in that semi-final. And like, I don't mean to take back from it, but that were two teams in the semi-final who had never been to the final. It was like, they didn't have to go through Kilkenny, Cork or Galway to get there. And it's just that glass ceiling that has been set by those three who have dominated camogie for over a decade, since Wexford's 3 in a row. That they proved to be really, really difficult to topple. I really do believe that. Can they do it this year? You would love to see them do it, but only time will tell. Peter saying Carton was well held, albeit 2 good points. Saying she was shut down like Galway Ducks. And as well, Peter pointed out the neck tackle on Dolan. Yeah, there was some wild tackles being allowed to fly in this game. Should have been a red card, says Peter. We're going to move on to the Division 1B Camogie final, which saw Clare beat Dublin in Nolan Park. Sound familiar? But Clare beating Dublin in the Division 1B final, 3-11 to 17 points. Lorna McNamara leading the way for the banner with 2 goals and 6 points, while Anya O'Loughlin also chipped in with 1-1. For Dublin, no surprise, Aisling Marr leading the way with 8 points. Grace O'Shea also with 3. Aisling Gannon and Sinead Wild chipped in with a pair each. But for Dublin, it is defeat in this league final. Clare, I think, all in all, have proven to be the best side in 1B this year, though.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it probably is a fair reflection in terms of how the league has gone. Like, I was kind of watching bits of it, but like I thought we did okay in parts. Like, we were able to kind of keep with Clare. It just felt like the goals in the second half, like they were able to kind of really pull away. Every time we would sort of lay a glove on Clare, they would get a couple of goals themselves and kind of pull away a little bit. So yeah, no, look, fair play to Clare for getting over the line, and they have been making great strides in camogie in recent seasons, in fairness. Absolutely.
So we're going to move then to the final 2 camogie finals, which took place across the weekend. Division 2A final saw Kerry beat Meath by a goal and 7 to 8 points in Banagher. Shannon Collins' goal was key in deciding this game for Kerry. Patrice Diggin hit 7 points for Kerry. Unbelievable stuff. While in the Division 3A camogie final, Armagh beat Roscommon 114 to 1-8 in Abbottstown. Sinead Quinn with 1-4 and Rachel Traynor with 3 points led the way for the Orchard County, as they were by far the better side in this final. And that is all the action from the weekend. But before we wrap up, Aaron, I don't know if you saw, but we're launching a little bit of a new segment here on the show, especially over Championship. I'm just going to ask you to pick our awards for this weekend. So the Cooling Media Weekly Awards, Championship Week 1. Aaron, what is your moment of the weekend?
Moment of the weekend, I think Ben McDonald's goal. Like that, like to score a goal like that right at the death. I know Tyrone didn't win the game, but to score a goal of that quality in the final, the final couple of minutes. I think we've complained a lot over the last couple of weeks about teams keeping the ball and blah 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 and messing around. Tyrone did no messing around there. They went for it. And maybe it was their downfall a little bit, because they also had a goal chance at All Mackleholm a little bit in extra time where they went for it. But look, you have to kind of credit their courage, and yeah, that was my moment of the weekend.
Absolutely. So next one up is result of the weekend.
Result of the weekend. Yeah, I think you said it earlier. I think Leitrim beating Sligo. I think when you look at the gap between the two in recent years, I know like Leitrim have given good accounts of themselves against Sligo. There's a couple of times, there was one year they went to penalties and everything else, but I think in the Tailteann Cup. But yeah, like I think to win by that kind of score 3 goals and the performances they put in, given the problems that Leitrim have had in recent seasons, yeah, I think that has to be the most impressive.
Yeah, I think result of the weekend, I think you could make a case for Cork as well, winning the Division 1 title, obviously straight up from Division 2. And bearing in mind that we had tipped them to be relegated and they've won the Division 1 title. So they've absolutely shown us up there. I think they deserve a massive shout as well in terms of moment of the weekend or result of the weekend. Player of the weekend, who are you thinking?
Player of the weekend, an interesting one to be fair. I suppose maybe that's fresh in the memory, like Barry McNulty, scoring 1-6. Obviously, as a player that kind of jumps out. Ryan O'Donoghue scoring 11 points. Like Oisin O'Neill, Con Kilpatrick. It's a tricky one, really, to kind of definitively say. Like maybe Barry McNulty, like scoring 1-6. I do think that's a fair show.
I agree. Controversy of the weekend.
Controversy of the weekend.
I can lead this one off. I think maybe the challenge on Carrie Dolan, neck tackle, something like that. That's a good one.
Like a lot of people aren't happy with
the red card. The red card for McMullen.
Yeah, and I know Tyrone fans aren't too happy with the referee as well. I think there was a bit of a scuffle at the end where I think Tyrone fans feel like they should have had a free towards the end of the game. So, I think both teams potentially not happy.
Not happy with the referee. And then the last thing is the team of the weekend. So which team gets this award?
Yeah, I don't want to be too much in favour of Leitrim here, so maybe we'll go with Laois to beat Offaly by 9 points. Or even the Cork ladies go.
I'd probably say Cork.
Yeah, maybe Cork actually. Yeah, maybe Cork. Yeah, that's a fair shout.
Yeah, I think we have to look at the fact as well that like we predicted them to get relegated and they won Division 1. So I think we have to kind of bring that into account. He said, Aaron, you mentioned here the atmosphere in your video breakdown of Armagh Tyrone. It really was a nervy atmosphere. The rivalry and fear of losing for both teams seems to bring out the worst. Peter here saying, lads, super review of Champo 26 week 1. Thanks a mil. Have a great week and catch you on Thursday at 8 p.m. You said it best there, Peter. We will be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. for the weekend preview show as we have week 2 of Championship 2026 ahead of us. Thank you so much to everybody for getting involved in the live chat. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. Big shout out as well to Killian Lynch, also known as Killian the Football Genius, who jumped on for us for the Armagh v Tyrone breakdown. Go give him a follow if you do not already. But until Thursday at 8 p.m., enjoy the Masters tonight. Enjoy the rest of the Roscommon versus New York game and enjoy the Sunday game as well. August Gadian Cade Ella Torah. Instinct, baby.